Okay, welcome back, lovely, lovely people. I just wanted to say, and I know that I speak on behalf of all the DCD team, and I say it is such a treat to have you all here today. In a world where we're increasingly sort of, behind computers and looking at people on screens in miniature, it's so nice to see the smiling, breathing, living souls in one space today. The people that we talk to often, the people that we haven't spoken to much yet, but will be. So, all those faces, familiar and new, in one space is just so, so lovely. And thank you all for being here and making this possible today. So we're going to be beginning our fourth and final session of the day in a moment, in which we shine a light on future-proofing your career. And we think about what skills dancers will need to succeed in the future. So we're talking employability, adaptability, upskilling, all those good things. And I'll be shortly inviting 3 more fabulous speakers to come and take the floor. But first, we have a world premiere for you. I'm going to call it a world premiere because it is a premiere and we are in the world. So hot off the cutting room floor, we now have a brand new DCD film in which we illustrate some of the stories of our brilliant alumni and how they have navigated their career transitions. So, without further ado, the film.
When you're a dancer, you just say, I'm going to dance all my life. You never think it's going to end because you don't know anything else. And then all of a sudden it ends. And that's when everything imploded with me.
Dancers must know that injury is always a possibility, that you have to stop at some point. Your body will take its course. But I think there's a level of ignorant bliss in there too. I don't ever remember tangibly thinking, in this many years I might have to face this. What will happen when I can't dance anymore? I never thought of any of that. It kind of just went in head first.
I stopped dancing for a number of reasons. The quickest answer is age. And I knew I'd done what I was going to be able to do. I'd reached my kind of ceiling professionally.
I remember being 12, 13 and my parents' friends asking me, so what are you going to do next? What are you going to do when that's over? And I hated the idea that it would have to be over. I just felt like following a dream was more important than being practical.
There's a lot of satisfaction in the career. The fact that it's short-lived, it's like asking a footballer, why would you be a footballer? When I decided to do my degree, it was a good time for me because I was actually getting quite burnt out. The touring was phenomenal, the work was incredible, but there came a point where I was really struggling and felt that my body had just fatigued.
Dance does give you that kind of self-discipline from an early age. There's a high level of perfectionism, motivation,
an enormous amount of stamina and determination,
self-reliance,
being adaptable, and also being committed.
There are so many skills that dancers have that materialise when you apply yourself to a different discipline.
Those sorts of skills are extremely transferable. And it's just more about unlocking some of the confidence to do that when you're stepping out of dance.
And actually, when you think about those skill sets, the cognitive, the kinesthetic awareness, just being a human, being able to communicate, you really can underestimate the value of what that brings to a human and actually what it brings to the bigger society.
With dancers, if that's all you've ever known, it's such a hard transition. It's almost like learning to walk again. DCD put me on my feet.
The faith that DCD kind of always showed in dancers that come in, even when we're at school, and say, dancers have all these amazing skills that are transferable to the world of work. You can do whatever you want. And if you come to us, we'll see how we can help you, kind of thing, when the time comes.
And I know that's something that DCD, really helps with, having a kind of sustainable career path that, allows you to transition from one thing to the next. What was super helpful was having to go through the process of the application and having to write down exactly what I was doing and why to an audience that kind of knows me the best. If they think that I can do this and they know dancers, then maybe I can do this.
I got some money to go to film school. One of the things that was in my mind at that point wasn't necessarily transitioning out of dance, but was to give me a wider set of tools in order to envision dance in other ways.
It was Dancers Career Development that gave me that grant, and I became a teacher, the RAD. I did a diploma. I started to get into choreography, and it all kind of stemmed from that little bit of help from DCD.
I did apply for the Core Leadership, but DCD were my sponsors. Second time round, they helped me to get my degree in the first instance, so that was great, because coming from a working class background, there's not a surplus of funds to be able to do that, so they really helped me to take that first step.
With DCD's help, I went to uni, did the bar course, and then I took up pupillage at St Ives Chambers, which is like a 1-year apprenticeship to qualify as a barrister.
I'm a senior consultant at Bot Consulting, and we specialise in the creative industries, so I advise theatres and concert halls and museums on their business planning and their strategy.
When you leave your career, it's a massive change, but knowing that that change is opportunity for growth and something beautiful will come out of it as long as you're invested internally.
It's clear to see that the impact that DCD has had on many, many dancers, especially at that sort of really vulnerable time. The arts kind of gets inside your DNA. It becomes you. It defines you in many ways. And so to change that, you're changing your identity. I don't just want to survive, I want to thrive. And that's, I think, one of the big impacts of something like DCD is we can survive. We're like made of tough stuff in the dance world, but we want to thrive.
One of the things that I absolutely admire about what they have done and what they're doing is that they haven't closed things in. They're very open in terms of their thinking and how they might help another individual. The fact that they can invite you in with your thoughts, with your challenges, with what's different, enables an individual to grow. So really think about what that holistic approach of you in that environment with DCD support could look like, because it can change your life.
We're so grateful to all of the dancers and everybody who worked on the production of that film, and we really hope you enjoyed it. So, we have shared some stories today from some of the alumni that we've worked with over the years, and we hope you enjoyed the stories in the film too. And I've had the pleasure, since being at DCD for the last 18 months or so, of talking directly to dancers and really hearing about where they're coming from and where they're moving to. And I always remember that we had Liam Francis, ex-Rambert dancer, come back into Rambert to talk to some of the dancers with the current company about his career transition. And he gave this lovely analogy, which basically was an analogy to being on a journey on a train and starting to sort of lay those tracks while you're dancing and thinking about your next career. And so that at some point when that career transition happens, you can just sort of glide gracefully through onto the next set of tracks and sort of have a smooth journey and a smooth transition. Now, of course, that doesn't always happen in a perfect way like that, but we really encourage all of you to have conversations with us early in your career, because we have seen that that is when the transitions are most successful, when people are willing and able and feel supported to think about where next and what next, and we're happy to talk to you at whatever stage of your career you are at. So, please do reach out. We're always here. We love chatting. We love hearing stories, and we hope that we are those sort of friendly voices and faces to talk to, and for you to ask questions. So, there's another brilliant quote here from Federico Bonelli, Artistic Director of Northern Ballet, another one of our DCD-supported dancers from many years back. And of course, Federico continues to be a great supporter of DCD. Now, we are trying to catch up on time a little bit today, so I'm not going to go through all that we do, because there is a little list of some of the things that we do, and this is the end of 50 years of DCD, but it's the beginning of a new 50 years of DCD. So really what this day is about thinking about what we need to do next. How best can we support dancers for the next half a century and beyond? So some of the things that we're doing now we'll continue to do, but we're also learning and growing, and we're going to start digitalising a lot of the offerings that we have to make them more accessible for more people in more places more of the time. And the first port of call really for any of you wanting to have a conversation with us at DCD is to drop us a line, dancers@thedcd.org.uk, and ask to speak to one of our programme managers. So there's me, there's Crystal, and there's Ellen. I'm not sure if they're in the space at the moment, but we would love to chat with you. So really we can then start talking to you about what might be the best fit for you, where we can meet you, wherever you're at right now, and some of the things that we can support you with. So I won't go into too much detail, but there is a QR code, I think it's page 8 of our digital brochure, that will take you straight to our website, and you'll be able to find lots more information there. So I'm going to start handing over now to the first of the final 3 speakers that we have for you today. And these are all people working outside of the sector, but who really understand the value of dancers, the skills that they have, the attributes that they have, and how they can grow, blossom, and evolve in other work sectors. So we're really delighted to have our final 3 speakers with us this afternoon. And first, I'm going to welcome forward Emma Crichton, Programme Manager at Skills Builder Partnership. Thank you, Emma.
Hi, Jen. Great. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Excellent. I'm really pleased to be here this afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be part of such a sort of energising event. As Hannah said, my name is Emma, and I'm the Employer Programmes Manager at an organisation called the Skills Builder Partnership. We're an organisation dedicated to helping people build the essential skills to succeed. So I'm really excited to be here today to just tell you a little bit more about who we are as an organisation, why what we do is so important, and how Skills Builder and DCD are joining forces to empower and support you as dance professionals during the next and future stages of your career. So I guess the word skills can bring up different things for different people. And in your heads right now, you'll have an assumption of what I mean when I say the phrase essential skills. We're sort of bombarded by these terms and phrases such as soft skills and transferable skills, and we're hearing more often around digital skills and green skills. And we're told that we need these skills to navigate our future, to be successful. We're told that they're so important, employers are crying out for them. But actually it creates a little bit of a confusing landscape. And so at Skills Builder, what we're committed to doing is helping people to gain a better understanding of their skills. And the first sort of step in that approach is thinking about, well, how do we just sort of simply categorise skills first off? So this pyramid on screen can help us do that in sort of a simplified way. So if we think about kind of basic, essential, and technical skills. So basic skills, we're talking here about things like numeracy, literacy, basic IT skills, those skills that you very much sort of start off learning in your education, if not before, and you build on throughout your life as kind of foundation of success. And then at the top of that pyramid, you've got technical skills. So skills that are very kind of specific to roles, to professions, to industries, vital for your success in whatever you're doing. So you'll be sat here as dance professionals with a very sort of specific set of technical skills. But if you're wanting to now move into kind of law and consulting, like what we've just seen on the video, or finance, or kind of the beauty industry, they might not actually be that helpful. So we're then kind of left with this middle bracket of essential skills. So these are our highly transferable skills that we have built on throughout our lives and throughout our career. And I guess historically, not enough emphasis has been put on this bracket of skills because we kind of just assume that we all have them and we all sort of know what they involve, when actually that's a bit of a mistake, because when we start to think about them, they're these big, broad concepts that we need to kind of break down and make sure we're all on the same page about knowing how to define them and knowing what they involve, especially when the employers out there is kind of, it's this set of skills that they're really sort of crying out for. So what am I talking about when I say essential skills? Well, I'm talking about these eight essential skills that we kind of really need to focus in on. So our communication skills of listening and speaking, our creative problem-solving skills of problem-solving and creativity, our self-management skills of staying positive and aiming high, and our collaboration skills of leadership and teamwork. And this quote here from the managing director of a UK, so the leading HR firm, sums it up really nicely, and it sort of captures how critical these skills are. They're absolutely not just nice to have, they're critical for kind of career advancement. Right now in the UK, 9 in 10 employers see these skills as the most important kind of group of skills, with leadership, communication and problem solving being the most in demand. So I guess whatever your sort of next step is going to be, or what you want it to be, it's going to be these skills that will help you to get there. And so we need to be confident, and we need to be competent to be able to articulate the strengths that you have within these skills. But I guess there's a question around, well, how do we do that? Because what are we really talking about when we say we're great team players, or we've got good communication skills? How do we know what that involves? How do we break it down? How do we get better at them? So I'd like you to just focus on the skill of creativity. And I'd like you to think about what sort of comes up for you when you think about that skill. What does it mean? And I'd actually like you to sort of share some of that thinking with the people around you. Maybe turn to the person next to you. When you say the skill of creativity, what's coming to you? I'm going to give you sort of 20 seconds to just have those discussions.
When I was growing up, I never used to think I was very creative. It's about
Okay, I'm going to just pause you there. You can carry on yourself for just a second, but I'd like you to move into thinking about whether you can define the skill of creativity just in one sentence. Can you come up with a definition of creativity just in one sentence? Again, share with people around you. Okay, I'll bring us to a pause there. I won't ask you to share these definitions, but I was sort of walking around the front there. I heard some great things being discussed, but I didn't actually hear the same definition being said. And I guess our slightly differing interpretation of these skills can be where the problem lies almost. So, you know, if you were to think about going for a job and it requires your excellent leadership skills, but your interviewer has a slightly different interpretation of what those leadership skills should look like, how are you meant to meet expectations there? Similarly, if you're asked to sort of improve your problem-solving skills to get a promotion or get a pay rise, how are you going to measure your development? How are you going to quantify whether you're getting better at problem-solving? So to address the kind of challenge of setting out what these skills are, having a way to measure them, a kind of consistent language to... kind of thing as a consistent way to talk about them, Skills Gorda have created a framework. And it provides really clear definitions and breaks these skills down into progressive stages and a series of steps. And it's a framework that has been sort of designed in collaboration with sector leaders and experts, so it's universally applicable. So what that means is we now have a framework that we can roll out in education settings, in schools and colleges, and make sure that young people are learning these skills in the same way as the businesses who are then going to recruit for that future talent. So we're trying to create this sort of golden thread of consistent language when it comes to these sort of soft skills which we hear about all the time, but we really need some rigour behind it. So this is what that looks like for the skill of problem solving. So at a definition level, problem solving is the ability to find a solution to a situation or challenge. And what that involves is kind of set out in those 4 stages that you can see there behind me. And again, kind of broken down further into those 16 steps. So I'm not going to read those out. I'll allow you to kind of just read over those for yourselves and see whether it marries up to what your interpretation of this skill would look like. And I guess what this framework really empowers us as individuals to do is to think about where our development points lie. But it also helps us to understand where our strengths lie. And that means that we can then articulate those much better to prospective employers. So we can move away from saying things like, I'm a great problem solver, to why you're a great problem solver. I'm a great problem solver because I explore problems by thinking about the pros and cons of different solutions. And then you can give a really targeted example of when you've demonstrated that. Well, I'm getting confused with my next now. So what our aim is as skills builders is to have as many individuals using this framework as possible so that they can better promote themselves and their strengths. So we've set ourselves a target. By the end of 2025, we're going to deliver 10 million opportunities to build essential skills. And we're kind of well on the way to getting there. So we are working with a growing number of partners, working with them to kind of embed this framework into their setting. So we support teachers and senior leadership teams in schools and colleges across the UK and increasingly globally to ensure that this framework is kind of the education standard for skills development. And then we're also helping businesses, so hundreds of businesses, to really define the skills that they require in their roles, to improve their kind of recruitment and selection processes so that they can identify the right candidates with the right skills kind of first time. And then develop really a kind of effective learning and development cultures and performance management systems that prioritise these types of skills. And this is just a sample of businesses who are part of our partnership at the moment, investing in essential skills. So investing in making sure they're really kind of clearly communicating what their roles need. Investing in making sure that as soon as you enter that workplace, these types of skills are going to be nurtured and built upon. And I guess there's no question really as to whether employers need these skills. They all acknowledge that they are absolutely vital to be recruiting in terms of the talent that they're looking for. And they've always been really important. But the reality is that kind of with the rise of automation and AI, they're becoming even more important. The technical skills that we often spend so much time focused on in terms of sort of studying for or building or training, they're going to become somewhat redundant, and it's going to be our essential skills that's going to help us navigate through these changes, and specifically that kind of technological change. As dance professionals, you will be sat here with a really unique blend of skills. You'll have creativity in abundance, you'll be great team workers, you'll be able to face kind of setbacks and kind of move through those really positively. And that will be exactly what your next employer is kind of looking for. So I guess to support you in this transition, Skills Builder and DCD are really excited to launch a kind of new support and mentoring initiative next year. And this approach will help you to leverage this framework so that you can better identify where your skill strengths lie and you can confidently kind of promote yourselves to your next employer. And our hope is that this framework will help you unlock those kind of new opportunities and secure your kind of career goals that you're after. So whether that be kind of transitioning to a completely new career, setting up your own business, or pursuing a job opportunity in a similar field. So, watch this space. There is more information to come on that initiative next year, but you don't have to wait that long to kind of take ownership of this. There are 3 QR codes on the screen now, which you can start exploring, I guess not right now, but after you leave today, because we have a number of free kind of tools and resources for you to kind of get to grips with and have a look through. So the first of those is the framework itself. So the interactive version of our framework is just on our website. We don't put it behind a paywall or anything like that. We want everyone to be talking this language. So you can click on any of those skills, you can see the steps kind of laid out, and you can really get to grips with what those steps mean. The second of those tools is Skills Builder Benchmark. So this is our self-assessment online tool. You can set up an account for free, and you can take yourself through 8 surveys, and that will give you a skill score, but probably more beneficially, it will give you the top 3 steps of strength. So it identifies where your steps lie based on your reflections. It also does identify kind of where your development areas are as well. And then the third and final tool that I wanted to sort of signpost you today is our Careers Explorer tool. So this is a kind of huge piece of work that we've done where we have looked across thousands of different job roles in different sectors, across different levels, and we've thought about the minimum essential skills that were required for those roles. So you can go onto that site and you can search the kind of industry or the specific role that you're interested in and find out what the types of sort of skill steps you would need to be successful in that role. So I'll leave those on screen in case you want to take some more photos of those and save those down into your browsers. And that is it from me. Thank you very much. I'll be around to
Thank you so much, Emma. If you haven't already discovered in the digital brochure, there are hyperlinks to all of the organisations that have been represented today, so you can jump onto their websites and find out more information about them all. Thank you so much, Emma. Now, while you were pirouetting around the mix earlier with your coconut patty in hand or your chickpea curry or whatever, you may have crossed paths with Alex Turnbull from Advictor, who was in the marketplace earlier, and I'm really delighted now to hand over to CEO and founder of Advictor, Steve White-Cooper. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah and Vanessa, for inviting me. It's fantastic to be here today. So as said, I'm Steve White-Cooper, founder of Advictor now. In some ways, we go through this, will kind of resonate about my story, and hopefully it'll kind of make sense in terms of what we do. So who is Advictor? Advictor is a recruitment platform that match individuals with an athletic and military background with employers. This can range from Olympians, Paralympians, professional athletes, through to high-achieving student athletes. We have helped a number of figure skaters. We've helped a few dancers into technology, investment banking, and corporate banking. The success of our model is shown by outstanding retention and performance levels. And this should excite all of you in the room as you begin to think about your next steps, because there is a massive opportunity that exists for you all. Just one example I want to walk you through is a guy called Joe Sayers. Joe was a former professional cricketer, and a bright guy. He went to Oxford, he studied physics, played for the Yorkshire opening batsman, and played for England Lions, so England's second team. Joe came out of professional cricket and did an internship with one of the big American banks, Citigroup. And he did well in his internship. On the back of that, he got offered a place in the graduate program, which was a 2-year rotation. Coming out of that, he landed in an area called high-yield credit sales, which is distressed bonds, which I know were needed a huge amount to a lot of you. But as he landed on this team, there was a lady who was a senior VP, and she had made $5.5 million in sales credits the year before. She put her hand up and said she was going on maternity leave, and so they, of course, got her accounts covered by somebody else. Anyway, at the tail end of the maternity leave, she decided not to come back. And so instead of Jo getting those accounts, they gave it to a senior director. And Jo was given all the small and medium-sized accounts that no one had made any money with. Jo finished his first year and did 4.4 million. His second year did 6.8. His third year did 12 million, which was unheard of. And he got made a VP in the fastest record time for City. I remember catching up with Jo probably 12 months afterwards and saying to Jo, Jo, why do you think you're so successful? And he said, Steve, every day when I finish my day and I get on the tube, I analyse my day from start to finish. And he goes, what is amazing is the days where monetarily I make the most, I actually find the least rewarding. But it's the days where I struggle that I actually feel like I'm developing. And for me, it's just this constant journey to be the very best I can. And I think, again, it's a wonderful analogy that you should all take as you think to the future. Without doubt, employers are increasingly focused on skill-based hiring. They recognise as the future evolves, they're going to need a malleable workforce that has the ability to adapt. Moreover, there is an absolute desire to build an inclusive workforce. We passionately believe in the diversity of life experience. More than that, we recognise that employers are absolutely set in meeting their D&I initiatives, whether that's based around gender, whether that's socio-economic backgrounds, ethnicity, etc. But diversity of experience is a very, very important thing as well. My own background, you didn't touch upon it before, I was a rugby player. I finished school and university and then went straight into professional rugby. I did it for 6 years. My club was Harlequins, which I'm not sure if any of you follow rugby, but Harlequins now is probably top 4 club in the country. When I was playing in the kind of mid to lower level. That said, I had some incredible experiences and I was really, really fortunate. I played for England A most of the time. I got a couple of caps for England, and I got out at the age of 27. I kind of, in my own mind, I played about 100 odd times for Harlequins. I thought I could play a lot more. I probably would have played a bit more for England, but I was never going to play 50 times because I wasn't that good. And I really had to work really hard at my game in order to get there. Getting out of rugby at 27, I was clueless. I didn't know what I was going to do. I ended up interviewing for a role within the executive search. The owner of the business interviewed me. I don't think he was particularly impressed by my answers, but he indeed gave me a chance. And one thing I always did have was a good work ethic. And I was first in, last out. It didn't happen overnight. But sure enough, over 6-12 months, I began to see that I began to develop and move forward, and those softer skills that I believe that I got from sport, I could really see myself catching up with my peers. Again, I was very fortunate. I was in a space that was growing. I had a boss who was super supportive and liked me and trusted me. And over the period of time that I was with his business, I actually became fortunate enough to become number 2 to him. I then left and launched a traditional search firm, but in the back of my mind, I just thought there was such an opportunity if you could target smart individuals that had those softer skills. And I shared the idea with a couple of partners at Goldman Sachs. They loved the idea, they felt they hadn't tapped into it, and they were our first clients. And this was just coming up to London in 2012. And actually, the first placement we did was a guy called Dr. Rob Williams, who had won a silver in the lightweight 4. And he joined Goldman as an FX trader. 10 years on, he's an MD, he's running the desk. And stories like that's really been able to cement in terms of what we're about. So what are the steps that you can begin today to future-proof yourself when you come to make your transition? And I know you covered a lot of the softer skills. There's definitely some crossovers here, but I think that it's very important that there is some self-reflection to really understand your value and what skills you offer. What made you a top dancer? What skills do you require to maintain that top performance, both as an individual and within a production? I'm sure each and every one of you would have overcome a lot of obstacles, either through injury or actually through rejection. And we all know that, and it can be tough, and the rejection side can be even harder. But that requires real resilience. And resilience is something which is not easily measurable, but it's a skill set which organizations, employers are desperate for. Desire. Every one of you would have had a dream from a young age to achieve something, a personal story that got you out of bed when it was really tough. Again, that is a skill which you can absolutely use, which will come through as you begin to create a CV, beginning to interview, and actually into your role as well. Concentration. Watching ballet, I've always been blown away by the timing and precision needed to execute each move. Within rugby, and again, I don't know how much you know, but I was one of the guys in the line out, and I'd be thrown it to catch, and we thought we were super smart and trying to outthink the opposition around us. But I've got to say, having seen ballet and seen what it takes, you guys take it to a totally different level. But outside of that, there's so many other skills that you would have had. Communication, confidence, creative problem solving, time management, teamwork. All those skills are incredibly valuable, and I think if you can package them up in the right way, you make yourself highly, highly employable. A question which I'm always asked is, do you have to be world-class to have these skills? And I can honestly say, hand in heart, that I was never the most talented rugby player at all. Again, having been very fortunate to play with people who are truly, truly world-class, they would see things, that do things that 95% of us couldn't see or do. But I honestly think you want that individual who's had to work their butt off in order to get there, that really understands what hard work is. Because again, that will be truly, truly transferable. So once you've done that self-reflection, and you can literally, take a A4 piece of paper and just write these down, then you need to build out a skill-based, a very general CV. So what do I mean by that? At Victor, we try and promote creating a CV with a tight first paragraph. Inevitably, these companies today are getting hundreds of applications. And we see this the whole time. Everybody's being part of a charity, or done the Duke of Edinburgh Award, or done all these kind of things. But can you imagine your opening profile when they see a professional dancer with a bachelor's degree from this university, analytical and methodical by nature, with a proven track record of performing effectively under pressure, a strong communicator, focused on building on previous experiences in XXX, with a long-term career to build it out in a certain industry. I guarantee you that opening statement will stand out, and that is the difference that will separate your CV from the rest. Again, think of your CV beyond the opening paragraph. Think about the key characteristics, and again, going back to what we were talking about before in terms of the self-reflection and the skills that you have developed. Really think about the 3 that you think are most relevant to you in your journey. And with this first generalist CV, and I can't emphasize enough the importance of spending time on this, it'll form the basis from which you actually are asked questions around the interview, because anyone who's interviewing you will be looking at your CV, and that's where your answers will come from. Once you've got your profile, your key characteristics, you'll put your education, your work experience, and that could be a professional dancer from 2017 to today's date. It could be key skills, it could be accolades. Again, it's an easy way to pad out your CV a little bit, and then you can put other non-dance related experiences that you may have that could be relevant. And then interests. And I think it's really important that you're not viewed as slightly a one-trick pony, and then you've got other interests outside of dance, and that's something that you can develop now. But I think each and every one of you will have enough to build out that generalist CV. So you've got your skills. You've put together your CV. Now the tricky part is trying to work out what industry and what role to go after. And this is often the $1 million question, which we get asked a lot, and we don't have the answer. But is there a role that excites you? If so, you're halfway there. But the reality is, for most of you, that won't be the case. But is there a role that matches a lot of your skills that you feel that you have? So, for example, if you're a good communicator, you're a good relationship builder, that could be sales. And that can obviously apply across a whole range of industries. At that point, you've got to ask yourself, and I know Lee in the session before brought it up, what industries are growing? And that is such an important question. Because if you join a growing industry, obviously you can grow with it, take responsibility, etc. with that. And then dig a little bit deeper within that is, what roles exist within that industry? Are there academic barriers to entering a specific role? And that's perhaps something that you could address as a dancer, trying to upskill yourself. Are there things that you can do once you get into the job that will help upskill you? Is training paid for? What is it learning on the job? What does a day in the life of a role look like? And again, Victor was super hot around this, is, you need to understand from the moment that you get into the office, what does your day look like? If it's desk-bound, is there internal meetings? Is there external meetings? What time's lunch? Can you go to the gym? What does an afternoon look like? Do you have to work evenings? Do you have to work weekends? And most importantly, where can the role lead you to, taking a 3 to 5 year view? And again, you can then work that out. What is the salary of the role? How can it grow? How can that role develop today and in the future? And this is not a quick process, but again, if you can start now, once you're in your career, it'll make all the difference. I would really recommend you to sign up to Victor, and for a number of reasons. In registering on our site, you will create what we call a shop window, and if you visualize a piece of A4 landscape, there'll be a picture of yourself. You'll have your 6 key transferable skills, and you'll have 4 columns. You'll have education, you'll have you'll have your dance experience, you'll have your work history, and you'll have your interests. And what it'll really do for you now, particularly if you start your dance career, is it'll hone where the gaps are and where you need to focus. More than that, you can begin to explore live opportunities, but you can also look at the Knowledge Hub. And the Knowledge Hub is there to really educate you around specific sectors, sector overviews, industry size, overall trends, growth or decline, skills, qualifications, courses, common roles, case studies. There's modules to help you in terms of CV building. And that is all available at zero cost to any candidates who are involved. In summary, whether it's through a Victor or another provider, you should all be incredibly excited to what the future holds, because with a bit of planning, you can absolutely nail it. And without doubt, all the softer skills that each and every one of you in this room will have, with hard work, you'll unlock your fit and you will set yourself up for a very rewarding and successful second career. Please, if you've got any questions, please free to ask now, or maybe it's better afterwards. But anyway, I was just keen to give you a little bit of a background on that, Victor. And thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Steve, so much. We've really enjoyed getting to know you and your organisation this year. We look forward to continuing those conversations with you. And as Steve said, if you've got any questions for him, he'll be around maybe for a little bit after. Yeah, he'll be around for a little bit afterwards. So, in your travellings today, you may also have come across the lovely Sean Epps from Moving Ahead, who is also on one of the stands in the marketplace. Moving Ahead is another fantastic organisation. We're so delighted to have them here with us today. We've worked in partnership with them for the last few years to deliver Beyond Dance, our mentoring programme, and delighted to have CEO and founder Liz Dimmock with us this afternoon. Thank you, Liz.
Howdy job seats on fast forward mics. Can you hear me? Is the mic working? Yeah. Stay close. That good? Can you hear me? I don't think it's just too, but I can. Thank you for the lovely introduction. I think that is working now. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Liz Dimmock, founder and CEO of Moving Ahead, and very proud partner with DCD. So, what a lovely event, lovely energy. I wish I'd been here earlier today, but it's so good to be in person. So, I'm going to talk today about one of the levers that we can all access to accelerate our careers, our life transitions, and our diversity of thought. Mentoring, the power of mentoring. So it's the oldest and simplest form of development. It's pretty simple, really. It's two people talking to each other, sharing perspectives, ideas, stories, vulnerabilities, ideas, thinking about who do you want to be, how do you want to get there, and what might be getting in the way. So I'm going to talk a bit about how my organisation, Moving Ahead, have partnered with the DCD for the first of its kind mentoring programme that is really around supporting the transitions of you amazing people. I'm also going to be talking about why mentoring is so powerful and what we can all do next with a bit of a call to action at the end. So by means of a quick intro, I'm also Liz, and I'm also Global Steering Committee member of the 30% Club, which is a global campaign to advance global gender diversity in the workplace. So I founded Moving Ahead 10 years ago with a mission to advance global workplace diversity, equity and inclusion. And we now partner with a third of the FTSE 100. We partner with many different organisations and sectors around the world, so over 40 sectors and over 700 organisations over the years. And we've supported over 30,000 mentoring partnerships, and with that we learn from you every time. In fact, I was learning from an amazing woman, I can't see her right now, one of the mentors on the programme who has mentored 19 dancers within this programme. Claire, I know, if she's here, just a massive high five to Claire. So, an incredible woman who gives so much to this programme and creates that space for that exchange of ideas and is a real catalyst, as we know, to these inflection points for transitions. So it's been a privilege partnering for the last 6 years on this programme, and the Beyond Dance programme is a cross-company programme. And that is where we essentially are matching dancers with extraordinary people like Claire from within or affiliated to the dance sector to help challenge and support these inflection points and transitions. So whether you're looking at the how next, exploring blockers, enablers, ideas, networks, it's an amazing space to hold and to have. It's a 9-month structured programme, so we've got this year's cohort actually starting on Wednesday, so we're going to be live at Westminster There'll be nearly 1,000 people in the room and about 2,000 on the live stream. So he's joining a wider community of individuals who are all figuring out what next and how next. So we're going to look forward to welcoming you to that. And there's going to be lots of events and other things to connect you and provide the stimulus to your thinking as you move forward. So you can all be part of this program every year, but you can also be part of your own mentoring journey. That doesn't need to be part of a program like that. We all need mentors. We all need people to support, challenge, and guide us. And mentoring certainly enabled me to do that in my life. So the story of founding Moving Ahead for me was absolutely directly a result of mentoring. So I'd had 16 years in a kind of corporate roles around learning and consultancy, and at my mid-30s I'd reached that point where I wanted more. And I set about a challenge of cycling the Tour de France route. As an amateur woman, there is no women's Tour de France. And I did that, thought I was a bit bonkers and was a bit of a weekend cyclist, but took that challenge. But I think courage grows, doesn't it? The more you do and the more you achieve, the more you want. And I then set about a big challenge of training full-time to cycle around the world, to be the fastest woman to do that, and to set a world record and raise £1 million for charity, work with lots of sponsors and da-da-da. I did not get to the start line. So at the 11th hour, a major sponsor pulled out, and I'd had intermittent injuries and the ups and downs of that. And so for me, what had been the most public project of my life, ditching the corporate world and making that transition, in sort of sitting in that space of failure and quite public failure, it was a mentor who said to me, perhaps you could achieve your dreams and goals a different way, not by cycling around the world. And so that prompted me to consider mentoring, the craft that I'd learned corporately, and how to use that to bring about change in workplaces for men, for women, creating better fairness and equality. And I was driven to do that by setting up programs across sport and business, business to business, and for amazing individuals like you. And on that mentoring table over the years, as it will and has done for you, different things come into that. So I was at that point thinking, how do you become a parent, a mother, when you're navigating a career? So you could talk so openly about those things. I became a mum at 42, a single soul care mum during COVID, figuring that out, navigating business during COVID, and also considering who I am as a leader, then leading a generation of 4 different generations in our workforce, so different ages, different perspectives, who I am as a leader and how to navigate that. And one of the things that's quite regular on the mentoring table for me is public speaking. So it's something that you can't hide away from as a social impact entrepreneur, but it is something I absolutely managed to sort of hide away a little bit from in corporate life, because you're generally around small tables, having to sort of stand up in front of audiences like this, and audiences at, say, Westminster of 2,000 people was my absolute biggest fear. So it's mentors who've been alongside me to support me, and that is work in progress. And it's something that the power of someone alongside you, seeing more in you than you see in yourself, is quite amazing, and particularly having to do that when you're processing what you feel is a failure at that time. So, but what I think about are the common threads of mentoring that I hope can come to some of you over the years. It's the benefit to me of having time to think. We all run around in our home and work lives. We are all consumed by so much information, but creating that space and that permission to think, to really think. Nancy Klein, a management writer, talks about the quality of our actions depends on the quality of the thinking we do first. And so often we don't really give that space, that true space, to consider our skills, to consider these really amazing questions that have been posed to us today. We need to build a roadmap of what next and how next. What are the baby steps rather than the big steps of what's my next big goal? And I think a mentoring partner can really give you that roadmap and really co-create that with you. And reframing setbacks, it's not a linear, it's not a line, they're setbacks as you experience in your day-to-day lives and in transition. So a mentor can really process those with you, celebrate what you might not see as a success, but also reframe those setbacks. And I also think it's important that you are giving so much to your mentors. We always think of it as a one-way street. The mentors that I speak to, like Claire, get so much learning and growth and satisfaction from these relationships. But I think for me, one of the things that stands out is that it's so personal to you. It's not a classroom process that's about these sort of shiny conceptual ideas. Mentoring is just about you, where you're at, what you're processing, where you want to get to, your headwinds and tailwinds, and everything that goes around that. So it really does provide diversity of thought. We talk about creativity. It is creativity. You've got two perspectives coming together to consider what next and how next. As mentors and mentees, you can be riddled with imposter syndrome of I don't want to take the space of that amazing mentor. What can I give as a mentee? And I urge you to put all of that away. So I've always been proving that that's not a reality. Mentors continually tell me how much they gain and the privilege of mentoring and what they learn and from that. So I would also say that when looking at transitions we've talked about today, it can represent a multitude of feelings and realities. And I think mentoring can bring a different lens to that and a really safe space to share those hopes and fears and realities. So whether you can step into the DCD programme next year or your own mentoring journey, I invite you to consider your mentoring network. So who do you go to right now to pick their brains or gain their perspectives? Jim Rohn, the management thinker, talks about, well, how diverse are the 5 people that you spend the most time with? So I would also encourage you not to think about the obvious mentor that you might pick the brains of, who might be the least obvious. There's an amazing lot of knowledge in this room, but I think there's also that feeling of how might you approach people to pick their brains, ask for an idea, ask for a connection, and you'd be very surprised at the generosity of humankind in wanting to support and change. So definitely be deliberate and definitely not always go for the most comfortable. So it's really hard seeking out mentors, and I was recalling on the way here, Matt Britton, he's the current sort of head of Google, in Europe, head of Google, who's actually stepping down into transition quite soon. But he did a talk where we were speaking to a group of athletes, and he was a former Olympic rower and estate agent and done many things on that pathway. He's now head of Google. But he said, of course I had this all planned and mapped out beautifully. He laughed, and they were laughing. He said, I had absolutely no idea. And he went from one to the other thing. But he said, don't ever be afraid to lean on the wisdom of others that you are curious to learn from. But his advice, because people will always ask him about his journey, is be specific. And that specificity of asking that mentoring people that you want to mentor you, is just be really specific. What could I ask you about? What could you share a perspective on? And you'll be amazed at what people will share, want to share. So in closing, I have my call to action, and that is to seek out mentors. Spot mentoring or someone that might be alongside you through the programme or beyond. And if you are approached to be a mentor, lean into that and remove your imposter syndrome. The power of holding a space to listen and to really listen to someone unlocks so much in them to be ambitious, creative, resourceful, and to move forward. So I'm going to leave you with a quote that I love. It's from the late, great Jesse Owens. So we all have dreams, but in order to make dreams come into reality, it takes an awful lot of determination, dedication, self-discipline, and effort. But I would add, a mentor.
Two very glamorous stage hands now who are going to assist with some furniture moving. Thank you. Anthony and John, everybody. They're transitioning. It's been such a treat having you here today. I'll let you into a little secret, because Vanessa let you into a secret at the beginning of the day, so I'm going to let you into a secret at the end of the day. we talked about this being a conference and a symposium, and we had all these different titles about what today might be, and then we decided to call it an inspiration event, which is quite lofty, isn't it? But I think while I had in my head in spreadsheets and thinking about what people are going to eat and where people are going to sit and all of that stuff, I forgot just how inspired I feel today. So I really hope that some of the inspiration that I felt today from all of our fabulous speakers and from the conversations I've been having with all of you is also translated to everybody that's here today. Some of you will have caught Akeem's film Reckoning during the lunch break. Just a little show of hands if you managed to catch one of the screenings. Such a poignant and profound film, and just delighted that we were able to show that today. And now I'm delighted to welcome back Akeem Toussaint-Buck, who is going to give us a creative plenary, a sort of summary of the day in creative form. So, Akeem, are you there? Here he is.
Brilliant. I just need some help to make this presentation.
Right, come on, you can practice again now.
Berries? Mike's. Yes, perfect. Stop loading up. Keep loading up. Oh no, it's not playing. It's a play. Yeah, it's loading up. Yes. Yes. Mike's up. Thank you. How's everyone doing? Good? I don't need to sound too good. How's everyone? Still, I feel like there's a lot of it. There could be more sound. How's everyone doing? There we go. 1, 2. Is this one up? 1.
Elliot's just got to get back.
This guy. He's not fast enough. He hit the job. I know, after all this stuff about dancing. Man, it's been such a full day. 1, 2. Yes, we're here. Cool. Thank you. It's been such a full day. It's been such a day of a lot of thought happening. Am I right? Yeah? Yeah, a lot of feelings emerging. I know definitely in myself there's been a lot of feelings. So DCD approached me to respond to the event in a creative manner. You saw the film. If you saw the film, you know that I dance, I write words, I then recite them in a poetic form, I make music. There's a lot of different things that I do, and I love when people ask me to be in a space just to absorb and then to deliver, which is pretty much what a lot of us do as artists. You know, you go into a space and you become this conduit of what has existed in that space. You know, it's kind of like we hear the unheard, we see the unseen. So I'm gonna do that, but first I really want to activate you all as well. Yeah, I want us all to feel a little bit on the edge of something, because that's how I feel right now. At the edge of about to deliver this thing. So I'm just going to ask you to stand up. We're just going to stretch, really. Just going to bring our arms up to the sky. Just open the heart. Open up the heart a bit. Just take a deep breath in. And then out. Low bass out. of celebrating the lived experience, let me share how I arrived here today. I decided to apply for my MA. Checked into the central system, made an exodus from north to south of the country so I can retrain. For the family in London, I could be there. DCD, same time, reached out to me to bring poetry for the Inspiration Day. Same time, I reached out to them for a retraining grant which has been awarded with success. No, it's true. Dancers can have agency over their career and trajectory, being the captain of your ship. Dancers learn to be great leaders without realizing, unconsciously learning, much like how we sleep and absorb choreography. You know, you have that, you learn it today, you go sleep, and all of a sudden you can do it better than you did it the day before. Because sometimes that ingrained knowledge in the body is something that we are so unaware of, but it's that safety. Trust your body, trust yourself. Let me get back to this, because that was some kind of riff. Yes. Alright. Unconsciously learning, much like how we sleep and absorb choreography. Transferable skills such as heightened empathy. Feeling the vibes of our comrades with an eye for detail. We see the gaps, hit the holes, the mishaps. Leadership, communication, problem solving, creativity, empathy, self-management, risk management. Any career sees those skills and say, hey, we need that. One career for each individual, different paths of the journey. Sometimes it flows, and sometimes it's prickly. We walk towards the fair in the studio, can we walk towards the fair in life? Today is a collective catalyst for excellence. Character seems to be the main goal. It's the presence in the presence of every individual present who is present in this presence. Character projects you forward and is always in development. Equity, sensitivity, and care. Let's give that an applause. It's what we all deserve and the values we can hold dear. Daily practice in polishing the soul, enduring the process of shedding what doesn't belong. Removing so much part from accounting. Accounting for the rhythms, accounting for the time, accounting for the vibes. These skills transfer from the studio to door. We work with people throughout our lives. We want to work with more. We are coaches, psychologists, accountants, DJs, teachers, tech specialists, and other artists. The possibilities of the specially coordinated beings can do are endless. Take care of your mental. This gives us strength. We all have doubts in our abilities, questioning what our power is, questioning our place in society. But our humble experience teaches wisdom, but never, ever put baby in a corner. Or your dance in a box for no one to see. Dance is about connection. Like the psilocybin, you can find a dancer in everything. So spread out. We may be the secret ingredient to creating the stable infrastructure in our heart-led world. We all crave to create.
Ambitious for dancers. That is DCD, and we invite you all to be ambitious for yourself and ambitious for dancers.
So thank you all for coming today here in the studio, also to everyone online. I hope you've had a really fantastic day, and there's an opportunity to carry on the conversations now and join us all for a drink. But I must say a few thank yous first. Firstly, to our absolutely extraordinary contributors today, and our wonderful hosts. I think they all deserve another round. And very importantly, I want to say a huge thank you to the staff at DCD. We are a tiny team servicing over 1,500 dancers and dance students a year. They are an extraordinary group of people, and they have really above and excelled themselves to deliver this event today. So thank you, team, very, very much. Thank you to Rich Mix for making us feel so welcome. It's been a pleasure to be here with you today. And for the final word, just thank you. Please remain friends, not strangers. You know where to find us. And we look forward to carrying on the conversation. Thank you very much.